Yes, please.
Well, they go through the motions. Tommy, observe yon structure on your left. That is the birthplace of the celebrated butler, Godfrey Smith.
Where are the ashes of Godfrey Park?
Scattered to the winds.
Hello, Duke. Well, well.
Hiya, Mike.
Now, straight.
Meet Mr. Gray, Mr. Flaherty.
Mr. Gray, pardon my wet floor. I've been washing out my lingerie.
That's okay.
Hey, Bob, look who's here.
Hiya, Bob.
Well, bust my false teeth.
Say, thanks for the beans, Duke. They got here just in time.
Oh, that's Duke himself. The beans was marvelous, thanks. We had everything but the cans.
Don't thank me, thank Mr. Gray. He's got a corner on the bean market.
Say, is that the same corner that Prosperity is just around?
No, that's another one. Hello, Arthur.
Hello, Duke.
Meet Mr. Gray, Mr. Bellinger.
You look as though you had a job, too. What is this, an epidemic?
Hey, Mike. Let's get going.
Well, Duke, we got to run along. This is moving day.
We've got to help some of the boys move their shacks. The dump trucks are crowding in on us a little. We ought to be in the river by early spring.
Sure hope we might be able to float by that time. See you again, Duke.
Right. That little fellow with the bundle of wood under his arm is Bellinger of the Second National. His bank failed. He gave up everything he had so that his depositors wouldn't suffer.
Not really.
Really. You see, Tommy, there are two kinds of people. Those who fight the idea of being pushed into the river and the other kinds.
Well, after all, things have always been this way for some people. These men are not your responsibility.
They're different ways of having fun.
You have a peculiar sense of humor.
Over here we have some very fashionable apartment houses. Over there is a very swanky nightclub. While down here, men starve for want of a job. How does that strike your sense of humor?
What's all this leading to?
Tommy, there's a very peculiar mental process called thinking. You wouldn't know much about that. But when I was living here, I did a lot of it. One thing I discovered was that the only difference between a derelict and a man is a job. Sit down over here and rest your weary bones. Let me tell you why I wanted to talk to you about it.
Well, I'll listen, but I still think that you belong in the psychopathic ward.
Well, you may be right, but let me tell you my plan. And listen with both ears. I have an idea.
Did you and Irene have a good time while you were in Europe?
Oh, as good a time as anyone could have with Irene. You should be more civil to Carole. Why?
I don't mind. As the French say, cherchez la femme.
That will hold you. Carole always has such a clever answer for everything. Darling, would you have some coffee?
No, thank
You
you.
didn't eat any dinner either.
You had plenty.
I can't say anything.
You never do.
Oh, darling, what's come over you? We spend good money to send you abroad to forget an engagement, and you're worse off than when you left.
Her liver is probably upset.
You better take a liver pill
I
then.
don't want a liver pill.
You mustn't get so upset about a broken engagement. You've broken many before, and you've never acted this way.
It isn't a broken engagement. She's upset because Godfrey didn't fall down in a faint when we got in today.
Why should Godfrey fall in the face?
He didn't make enough fuss over her homecoming to suit her.
Oh, well, Godfrey's not the fussing kind. Oh, Godfrey, I was just telling my daughters that you missed them both very much while they were away.
Oh, yes, I did. Very much indeed.
We missed you too, Godfrey, didn't we, Irene?
Yes.
Thank you. I missed you also.
Really, so nice for everybody to miss everybody else, because then it makes it so nice when they get together again. There, darling. It's nice to see you cheerful. You do have a way with you, Godfrey. You really do. You know, there's no use denying the fact that Godfrey has a way with him. Well, we must be running on. Cornelia, cheer her up like a dear.
I'm a cinch. Do you feel better now that you know Godfrey missed us?
He missed me more than he did you. I could tell by the light in his eyes.
Why don't you throw yourself in the man's arms and get it over with?
Oh, you can't rush a man like Godfrey.
You're getting pretty old, you know. It's your last chance to get a husband.
He's really in love with me. He's just hard to break down, that's all.
I could break him down in no time at all.
He wouldn't have anything to do with you.
How do you know?
Because he wouldn't. Don't you try anything.
I'm not saying I will, and I'm not saying I won't. Come to think of it, Godfrey and I have a little unfinished business.
Well, you better leave it unfinished unless you want to be wearing a lamp for a hat. Did you mean it when you said you missed me?
Oh, yes, of course I did.
Irene, did you miss Cornelia and me or just me?
Well, I missed both of you, I guess.
Oh, not just me?
Oh, I may have missed you a little more than I did Cornelia. Why?
Oh, I'm glad, because if you miss Cornelia more, you'd probably miss me less.
Well, that sounds very logical.
That's all I wanted to know. You look so cute in your apron.
I'm not trying to look cute. Molly has a cold, and I'm doubling for her. What's funny about that?
She hasn't got a cold.
No?
No, she got the same thing I've got, only you won't let me talk about things like that, so I won't, because you lose your temper.
Well, not seriously.
Will you let me do something if I ask you?
What do you want to do?
Wife.
Oh, all right. You can tell me all about your trip.
Oh, you won't get married?
Why should I?
Because every place I went, everybody was Godfrey.
I don't want to seem dull, but I do seem to have a little trouble following you at times.
Well, for instance, when I go into a restaurant in Paris or any place, I'd close my eyes and I'd say the waiter is Godfrey. And I'd say I'm home and he's serving me dinner. Made everything taste better.
Why?
Haven't you any sense?
I'm afraid I haven't.
And when I get in the cab, the driver was Godfrey, and I'd say, this is his chariot, and he's taking me up through the clouds to his castle on the mountains.
Suppose you come down out of the mountains. Tell me about your trip.
Well, we went to Venice, and one night I went for a ride in one of those rowboats that the man pushes with a stick. Not a matador, that was in Spain, but something like a matador.
Do you by any chance mean a gondolier?
That was the name of the boat, and the man that pushed it sang. It was a beautiful song. I didn't understand it, but it was beautiful.
I see. So you closed your eyes, and the man was Godfrey.
It was wonderful. I didn't even mind the smells.
Well, it's very convenient to take a trip abroad without leaving the kitchen.
Oh, you have a wonderful sense of humor. I wish I had a sense of humor, but I never can think of the right thing to say till everybody's going home.
Do you mind if I talk for a little bit while you catch your breath?
I'd love it.
Well, while you've been away, I've been doing some things also. I've been trying to do things that I thought would make you proud of me.
Oh, I was proud of you before I went away.
Yes, but I mean prouder still. You see, you helped me to find myself, and I'm very grateful.
You'd make a wonderful husband.
I'm afraid not. You see, I know how you feel about things.
How?
Well, you're grateful to me because I helped you to beat Cornelia. And I'm grateful to you because you helped me to beat life. But that doesn't mean that we have to fall in love.
Well, if you don't want to, but I'd make a wonderful wife.
Well, not for me, I'm afraid. See, I like you very much. I had a very bitter experience. But I won't bore you with that.
Well, maybe she wasn't in love with you.
Well, maybe not. However, that's beside the point. You and I are friends. I feel a certain responsibility to you. That's why I wanted to tell you first.
Tell me what?
Well, I thought it was about time that I was moving on.
God.
Now, please.
I won't cry, I promise.
That's fine. After all, I'm your protege. You want me to improve myself, don't you?
Yes.
You don't want me to go on being just a butler all my life, do you?
I want you to be anything you want to be.
Well, that's very sweet.
When are you leaving?
Oh, pretty soon. But I'll call you up every now and then, and we'll have long chats. I'll tell you how I'm getting on. Oh, we'll have lots of fun.
Are you going back to her?
To whom?
That Indian woman.
Indian? Oh. She was just a fabrication.
Oh. Then you weren't married to her.
No, she was just a product of Tommy Gray's imagination.
Then there wasn't any.
No.
Oh, and there couldn't have been 5 children.
Well, naturally.
That makes a difference.
That makes a difference. Did you ring this?
You needn't be so formal when we're alone.
Shouldn't that rather increase a butler's formality?
But you're not a butler.
I'm sorry if I'm disappointed.
You might drop that superior attitude for a moment. There's a little matter I've wanted to talk over with you for quite a while called The Mystery of Milady's Necklace, or What Happened to the Pearls.
Pearls? Necklace? Oh, you mean the one that disappeared last fall?
The same.
Didn't that ever turn up?
Oh, yes, it turned up, but not in my possession. I know the first part of the story, but I wondered what you might know about the second part.
I can't imagine.
I know another story that might interest you, too. I met some people on the boat coming over, a Boston family, quite distant.